Good morning. Different spot today for the walk, but the walk still has to happen at the crack of dawn. So I'm here, and I'm here in Trafalgar Square, right underneath Nelson's column and some big ass lions. Good morning, mate. How are you? Did you have a good day yesterday? Did you get the wins in? With it being Monday, it's the sort of things I expect to see. Just got a little troop of horse guards right over there on a morning ride, I guess. I want to talk about tactics. Saw some real good analysis yesterday of the game. There was some stuff that I clocked in the game, and there was some stuff that I didn't even realise was part of the plan. I clocked the trying to drag Van Dijk into the sort of... I'm going to come away from the traffic, it's probably dead loud now. I clocked the sort of trying to drag Van Dijk into areas where we could then get the ball and play it in behind him. What I didn't realise that we were doing is pushing one of the defenders up in that transition, so we had a four in midfield around the ball, like either De Ligt or Shaw, to help really bolster what we were trying to do. And then on the flip side of that, probably about 3 or 4 different shapes without the ball. 3-5-2, 5-2-3, 5-3-2, and even 5-4-1. And I've seen it called a low block, mostly by Arne Slot, who should know better, to be honest, because it wasn't a low block. It was more of a mid block, because United tried to keep Liverpool out of our back line. I'm just trying to get to the right spot here, and I think these buildings are in the way. Just try and do a bit of a mooch. So I was going to take you somewhere. I'm going to take you somewhere that this morning walk's probably never going to go again, so that's what I'm trying to do. Starting Trafalgar Square, we're going to end somewhere quite special. So I think what we saw was probably one of the tactical masterclasses of the modern era, and it doesn't happen often at all, actually. That's why I think it's kind of worth touching on, because one of the things that modern managers are meant to be is systematized, is kind of overly reliant on their philosophy and not flexible, and able to hit a plan B to get a win done. Whereas actually that is precisely what big old Rubes has just done and managed to deliver a victory for us. So I think on that front you have to give him incredible credit. Now, I mentioned that I've lost faith. They're rebuilding that, which is why I've had to come walking down this way. One of the most famous streets on earth. So, a few weeks ago I said I'd lost faith. And the genesis of that losing of faith was because I wasn't seeing flexibility. I wasn't seeing learning. I wasn't seeing anything other than repeating the same mistakes week in, week out. So of course I lost faith. But throughout all of that, all we were saying is, just show something. Just give us something that will give us hope. I think we got that. I think we got shown that we can get a little bit of hope, that Rúben's shown us that actually this is a man that understands how to win games in English football, that will kind of go away from his principles and try and find a way to win a game of football. And it ain't perfect. And I do find this funny. People going, oh, well, we hit the post like 5 times. All right, and take away our goalkeeper. Does it go in? No. Well then why are you going on about it in the post like it means fucking anything? It's a miss, mate. You know, you might as well have been, for all the times that you say you hit the post, you might as well talk about the one Bruno Fernandes had that went just wide of the post. They both missed. It's irrelevant whether you hit the post. It's not a shot that was on target. It hit the fucking post. Lunatics. So I just have to say, you know, in the midst of all the analysis that we've had, those couple of things, the shape without the ball and the way it slid left and right, really invited Liverpool's fullbacks on, one at a time mostly, and it was dragging the likes of Konate and Van Dijk into weird spots. And Van Dijk's had a lot of criticism. He's had criticism for one major mistake. He had a pretty good game outside of that, and he had a statistically very important game. And he had a statistically important game because we made him have a statistically important game. When you look at his stats in the game compared to United defenders in the game, he was the one that was doing the most, which Liverpool fans are trying to say is some sort of badge of honour. And you're like, no, you dicks. That literally shows what we're trying to tell you. We made him have an involved game. Okay, we made him make a mistake 2 minutes into the game, but it was a significant mistake that probably helped win us the game, wasn't it? Funny. I'm sure they'll still be crying today, but it is what it is. So I'm just walking down a little street called the Mall. There's a big old gaff at the end of here. Called Buckingham Palace. I just thought it's a little bit different to my normal morning walk, innit? It's also one of the only spots that I know that's got a little bit of green. Because even though I'm in a city, I mean, I did this in New York as well. I did this in New York and I found a spot to FaceTime my little one because of the time difference. I was up at R5, I was on the street for 5:45 a.m. Got up and had a FaceTime. Not sure what the time difference is between London and Manchester. But yeah, thought there's no excuse, still get me walking. For those that are in the inner circle, I will share my Whoop recovery this morning because he's not a well boy. But we do it anyway, right? Them's the rules. Calf hasn't healed. Still limping when I walk. So any notion I had of can we get a bit of a dad run going? I don't think so. I managed a bit of a dad run when we ran Currahee. Because sometimes jogging uses different muscles to running. And I am going to feel the urge to jog. Whether or not I'm strong enough to resist the urge to jog once everyone fucking starts running around me, I don't know. But made the decision that I'm going to go. I'm going to try and get after it a little bit. Set a marker down, do a bit of a recce. Now, why am I in London? Well, I went to the first UK screening last night of a documentary called Waves and War. Now, it comes out on Netflix on the 3rd of November. You need to watch it. Now, it centres around veterans, but it's talking about medicine for PTSD, and I spent probably 2 hours in tears watching it. It was funny, because the word I was thinking was heavy. And it was like, because it was the first screen, it was like a Q&A with the film production crew and And the two main stars of it, Marcus and Amber Capone, who, because of friends and connections I'm fortunate enough to have, we ended up having a bev with afterwards. So the film's over, and the one word I'm thinking of is heavy. And then my mate Jay comes up to me and just goes, "Heavy that, wasn't it?" I just laughed and I was like, "Fucking hell, heavy, yeah." And then I had a really interesting conversation with a fella from D Squadron, SAS, about he's left the forces, did a little bit of time in Ukraine, and now he is working in Colombia, in Medellin, treating people with ayahuasca. Now the story sort of centers around ibogaine and 5-MeO-DMT, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, is this 2011? Am I watching Joe Rogan? It's all he ever seemed to go on about at the time. And it was showing the sort of journey of three blokes who kind of worked in the teams together, the SEAL teams, who had some pretty gnarly experiences, and shows how ibogaine kind of helped fix them. And the thing that I found the most sort of impactful and resonant, I got rocketed to fuck and in Iraq, and I did struggle with that, and I needed therapy, and I needed to speak to someone after that because it shook me, and it took me a while to sort of fess up and admit that. But I don't think it was that which cooked me. I think it was the TBI. I think it's traumatic brain injury. And I almost kind of want to go and get a brain scan to see where I'm at with it. So one of the things I was chatting to Amber, Amber's the wife of a guy called Marcus. And Marcus was, hitting the depths of what people call PTSD. And in America, especially with the pharmaceuticals, the average veteran in America is on between 7 and 12 different pharmaceuticals. Many of them have effects of suicide ideation. That's like a very common side effect of these drugs. And lads aren't getting better because they're treating all of these symptoms as like an offshoot of depression, when actually there's quite a lot of physiological things that are happening with this. And when I spoke to Amber, I said, have you had a look at testosterone levels and stuff like that? And she lit up and she went, yes, that's one of the things. It's based on like a Stanford study. And she went, yeah, this is like one of the main parts of this Stanford study into sort of veteran suicides and that sort of stuff, is because they're treating all veteran sort of sadness as like it's depression, or veteran issues like it's depression, when actually quite a lot of it is TBI. And TBI, I think, lines up more closely to my own experience of it. Like, I don't think I have PTSD. Technically, I did have a diagnosis of severe PTSD, but I actually think that was probably a misdiagnosis, and it was TBI. And when I did get my testosterone sorted, like, I feel pretty good. And there was something Marcus said in the film, which is, even if you go and have the ibogaine and you have this medicine, it isn't a one, done, forget about it, move on with your life, and you're perfect and sweet forever. But you're able to sort of recognize things and move through it a little bit easier. the process looks incredibly heavy. And it's interesting that none of them seem to have experiences that they wanted to shed, which ended up being, at war. A lot of them seem to stem from like childhood and stuff like that. You think, fucking hell. And I would say in my own mind, I'm like, I didn't have a traumatic childhood. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if this is a door I want to step into. Now, there's a UK company that deals with veterans. And my therapist put me forward for a clinical trial for mushrooms in Amsterdam. And I was actually accepted onto it. And I was up for going doing it. And this was like, right in the depths of me not being well. And I was waiting for a date to go. And I didn't end up going, obviously. Because the funding got cut on it. And I'd heard people talking about these journeys down to Mexico and stuff like that. But there's just been some funding for research, which has been matched federally by Texas to the tune of $50 million, which means that they get $100 million, which is incredible. And it just shows the sort of patriotism that you get in a place like Texas, because Texas, you can imagine, is a pretty conservative gaff. Is a pretty, you would assume, closed off sort of gaff when it comes to drugs and things like that. But because this affects veterans, they're almost front and center of trying to make something happen. So I just want to say, when that film comes out on the 3rd of November on Netflix, I urge you to watch it. And it isn't even a veteran. I think every veteran should be required to watch it. It sounded like, from the audience, from one of the questions I got last night, it was someone either very high up in the UK government or the UK military. I couldn't see them. I recognised the voice, but I couldn't see them. I don't know who it was. Was at that show and was asking questions. I believe that this show on Netflix, this film, is going to be incredibly impactful, to the point where I think it might change policy. And like I said, if you're a veteran, I expect you to watch this. Orders. If you're a civilian, I think you should watch it. If you're a civilian interested in mental health, I think you should watch it. Because this medicine isn't about PTSD. And a lot of the PTSD symptoms, like I was saying, I think have been misdiagnosed anyway. And they're other things. Or they're adjacent things, if not completely unrelated. Because they're probably not unrelated. But the looks of it is this medicine can just heal you, regardless of what you're dealing with. And the origins of this medicine are insane. So ibogaine comes from a plant in Gabon in Africa. And the 5-MeO-DMT is literally like the fucking venom of a poisonous toad. You think, man, are we licking fucking frogs here? What the fuck is going down? Yeah. But if it works, it works. And then all I could think about as I was leaving is there something in the fairy tale of princesses kissing frogs? And is that where that kind of thing comes from? Because what a mad coincidence that we have this thing where princess kisses a frog and he turns into a prince. Is it a metaphor for something else? Anyway. little bit of a different view for the walk, eh? Oh, should we go and see if there's any blokes on guard? There's no one in the box. I brought Blake here last year, I think. Go and watch changing of the guard and see the soldiers on horses. She really enjoyed it. Do you know what? It's cool. You don't have to be royal or pro-royal family, and I'm not really, weirdly. I'm wearing an everyday patriot hat and I'm not pro-royal family, I'm not. However, the pomp and ceremony surrounding it, I think I probably like it more because it's the military and less because it's the royal family, to be honest with you. But it is cool. There's a lot of motherfuckers jogging around here. Do you know what? I get that and all. Why would you want to jog around the city streets when you could? I mean, like, is that Hyde Park, I think, over there? It's all mooch down here. Horse guards is this way. You might clock some of the horsey types down here, but I'm probably going to wrap it up before then. I need to go this way. Anyways, listen. I'm up, I'm out, I'm at 'em. I'm going to go meet a mate for a brew. Might do a video in a little bit. There is one that's already been recorded while I was in the office yesterday. So stay locked and loaded for that. And I might do something when I get to my hotel in Birmingham a little bit later on today. Otherwise, fucked it, Anna. I'm on the wrong side of the fence. That's good. I have to walk down here. Listen, have a good day. Enjoy the meltdown that we are continuing to see from Liverpool fans. It's glorious. It probably won't last, so milk it. Get amongst it. But I've got my steps in. Welcome to the new people who've just joined the Patreon. If you're interested in seeing what all the fuss is about, there's a link in the description, or I'll drop a comment, pinned comment, have a look at that. And I'll post my stats in for today because they're hilarious. I saw that Delo posted his, and it was like, he had a 28% recovery. So fucking what? Let's see what mine is today. Right, have a good one, man. See you later.